Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Um, and Bob Woodward, who is half of the Washington Post team who broke the Watergate scandal, the deep throat informant, has written another book. I think it's called War. Um, and in it, he details some really unsettling things. One of them is that was not discussed this morning on The View, is a very contentious relationship between President Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu, and that involved Biden swearing and yelling at him over a phone call. Um, Biden has said in the past that he has a longstanding relationship with Netanyahu, and that it isn't, it isn't always the friendliest, but they, as countries, they're allies. Um, and it, you know, um, I just find it interesting because I don't think that people understand how hard Biden is working to try to control Netanyahu, not control, but encourage Netanyahu to uh, take a peacekeeping deal that would return the hostages and stop the fighting in Gaza, and in the whole region. But Netanyahu, to me, at this point, is a war criminal, and has now gone beyond what is just retaliation and is now being an aggressor. That is not a condemnation of Israel. That's Netanyahu. If we'll all remember, when Donald Trump was our president, he didn't necessarily do things that were in the best interest of the United States and the United States citizens. So you can look at it the same way. We can have a bad leader, and it doesn't have any reflect. It doesn't necessarily reflect how you feel about the citizens and residents of that country. Yes, I support Israel. Yes, I support the Jewish people. I think Netanyahu belongs in jail, which is one of the reasons he's staying in power, because he is as under much legal scrutiny as Trump is. But anyway, the topic this morning on The View was how Donald Trump, while president, sent COVID testing kits to the Kremlin for Vladimir Putin's personal use, while we in the United States couldn't get tests. So therefore, putting his friend Vladimir Putin ahead of the American people, which I agree with Joy in this particular instance. To me, that's treasonous. And the book argues that he has had up to 7 phone calls with Putin since he lost the election in 2020. And I think it was Sarah who said that Trump didn't understand that the job wasn't personal. So he took the Rolodex, he took all the documents, like whatever he thought was ever, whatever's in the White House and the Oval Office was now his, not that he was a steward of those for the American people. He never understood that. He will never understand that. And he doesn't understand that that's what the function of government is. But then JD Vance was asked about it at some campaign rally, and he made some terrible joke about thinking Bob Woodward was already dead, and then um, said, "If it's true," which again, it has to be a qualifier for him, because he's admitted that all he does is make up stories, right? That if he has to make up a story to get media attention, he will. So he has to, I guess, would have to come from the assumption that whatever the topic is at hand, it could be a made up story, because that's what he would do. I can't. Ugh. Anyway, he said, if it's true, is there anything wrong with talking to a world leader? Is there anything wrong with diplomacy? Yes. As a matter of fact, there is. And it is illegal. There's a thing called the Logan Act that prevents unauthorized US citizens from conducting negotiations with allies or adversaries, any foreign leader. And it's so that someone unauthorized from the federal government doesn't undermine the federal government's position with whatever said world leader. It has also been purported that Trump has spoken to Netanyahu. Um, I get it. It must be weird after you have what you think is some sort of familial relationship with people, and then you no longer have the job, and then you aren't supposed to be friends with these people. But as uh, Kamala Harris said last night on uh, the Stephen Colbert show, that was a surprise. I didn't know she was doing that. Um, that he thinks Trump thinks Putin is his friend, and I love it when she gets passionate about uh, Trump easily being manipulated by um, by other leaders and specifically dictators, because he admires people who are just bullies. Um, so uh, yeah, he thinks that Putin's his friend, and he's just being used. And I it's going to be interesting to see. I like, please, dear God, no, don't let, I don't believe in God, but no, if somehow they wrangle their way into the White House, I'm convinced JD Vance is going to, 25th Amendment the guy, and steal the presidency from him. And then, you know, then that will be the ultimate. Hey, buddy, you got played. Um, and that's terrifying. But that humiliation also, if he isn't going to just straight out lose the election and go to prison, I guess somewhere that's a very, 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 very distant, uh, you know, consolation. But anyway, I'm just going to say the same thing that I say every fucking day. We just need to make sure that this election is won by such a large margin, that it can't be it can't be contested. So, and sometimes I start these things out and I feel really confident, and by the end of it, I talk myself right into despair. Um, I said at the beginning of the year it's going to be a long year, and I don't think I realized how long of a month October is going to be, because it feels like October has been going on for 6 fucking weeks.